Hey guys, Multi here. We got exciting news today about Season of Discovery. You can like the news or not, but I think they're pretty exciting, and it's about Phase 3 is starting already next week, Thursday on April the 4th. Global launch time is 1 p.m. PDT, so I think Pacific, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so new level cap, level 50, as you can see here, and we have the new raid, Sunken Temple. It will be a 20-player raid, not 10-man anymore. It will be a 20-player raid. So that leads us to the topic that I want to talk about it today, and it's the predictions for the next phase. Yeah, the predictions of the DPS specs. So let us make a tier list prediction for the next phase. First of all, definitely 20-man could be a little bit different than the 10-man before. There's always more buffs that could lead to more damage output from certain classes. But in general, as you can see here, these are the last 2 weeks of Gnomer, the raid, so these numbers here are pretty accurate, as you can see it here. So we have the enhancement shaman now on the top, but so close to the DPS warlock and fire mage, followed by melee hunter, and then elemental shaman, warrior, and paladin got, like I predicted, more and more ahead. I think the video is like 2 weeks old. Fights getting short and everything that benefits paladin. So yeah, let us talk about the next phase. So what I saw this phase is that definitely we have the pure attack power users struggling with more armor of the enemies. I think this will be not the same in next phase, because not all the opponents in next phase in the Sunken Temple will be robots or mechanical or mechs or whatever they were called. We have, you know, this dragon, we have these trolls and everything like this. So damage output will be pretty much normal over the total field. So what I will predict, because they were all the time strong, is definitely Fire Mage will be again one of the top specs. Let us put everything a little bit down. Let us start with the Fire Mage. Let us put everything down. So Fire Mage will still be one of the top specs. They were already very good phase 1. They are very good this phase. I think that will continue, and as well we only see the other 2 mage specs are struggling a bit. That's why I think that minimum 1 mage spec will be good, and if I have to make a bet, it would be definitely on Fire Mage. So I'm pretty sure about Fire Mage. I think Frost Mage will not change a lot. Arcane Mage will be okay. They drop pretty low down, pretty close to Frost Mage to be honest, but I think they will be alright, but nothing else, I have to be honest. Next thing that maybe we can talk about is Paladin got now these high numbers, as you can see here, so he's pretty close. Let me say he's the last one of the A tier list right now in that phase, but he's benefiting pretty a lot from the shorter fights over the whole phase. So now we have these longer fights again, because the raid is new. It will be a 20-man raid. Maybe we will see, maybe also the boss fights will be in general a little bit longer, or maybe they will be shorter, but I doubt that. So I think Paladin, we will see it again just in the middle of the pack, maybe even in the low end of the middle of the pack, just to make that clear. What else? What is the next one? Marksman Hunter. I think it will be around Arcane Mage. It will be okay. Nothing special, nothing good. So Ranged Hunter, if you go for Beastmaster or Range, I think it will be okay. Or I could even expect low end of the B tier, to be honest. Yeah, let us put it on the low end of the B tier. Let us put it on the low end of the B tier. Enhancement Shaman already was pretty strong right now. What was pretty bad in the first phase. I think we will have here a pretty decent DPS. He also benefits from shorter fights, because he got better and better over all the phase 2. So I don't only want to put it in A tier. I think we have here a pretty good melee DPS. In my opinion, it will be fighting with melee hunter and warrior for the melee DPS throne. We have rogue. Rogue will do definitely better than this. Why? Because they had hard problems with the higher armor of the other classes. I put rogue at the end of A tier. I think I will put it in the end of A tier, so I think I also try to make the numbers here right between the tiers places. So Moonkin always benefits from shorter fight, but in general is a decent DPS. I think it will be around melee, around the paladin. Same thing. Maybe the most sad story in phase 2 was the rise and fall of Shadow Priest. We have Shadow Priest was, I think, even on top, first place or second place in the first 1 or 2 IDs. This means 1 or 1.5 week with a 3 days reset, and now we have it. It was pretty much again on the bottom. So I think there's only one chance. If they over buff it again, it will be very high. If that is not happening, it will be just at the end of B tier. That means, especially in 20 man, you having one priest is fine. Maybe you can even swap for a fight that needs a more healer. Could be a good solution. But in general, Shadow Priest will be not one of the top DPS. Feral Druid will be pretty decent. Was all the time decent here, as you can see. It is just okay. It will be around the same spot again, I would say. But like I said, Rogue will definitely go ahead in my opinion, because he's benefiting more from lower armors than the Feral Druid. And then we have the Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman was doing good in this phase, definitely. Also a little bit benefiting from the shorter fights over the range, over the time of over the period of all the phase 2. Who is hard. I think it will be at the lower end of A tier as a spec in general. Then we come to a very interesting point with Warrior. Warrior was all the time from the good specs in phase 2, as you can see here. He is on the side of the good specs. He was at the lower end. But he was on the lower end. He could not fight with melee hunter, but he also left Rogue very much behind. So what I think is Warrior will continue his way back on the throne. Overall, I think it will be already here S tier. I think low S tier. I think we have maybe some specs that will still be better than Warrior, but Warrior level 50, we don't know the buff that we will get, but let us say it will be not useless for Warrior. I think Warrior again is rising to the top because he was pretty close at the beginning of phase 2 with Rogue, but he was rising and rising in numbers, and he's now pretty close to the top specs for phase 2, and I think he will continue to rise. And we all know what we expect at the end of the day. Even in Season of Discovery, even with a lot of balancing, I think at the end of the day, level 60 endgame with good gear, Warriors will be on the top. My prediction for phase 3, not a best spec, but definitely one of the top specs. That brings us to, let us talk about Warlock. Warlock is pretty much the same as Fire Mage at that moment. So it's pretty strong, but I'm not sure if I would rank it as same strong as Fire Mage going into the next phase, but I will still rank it as an S tier spec. They had not the most easy time in the first phase, but they were also climbing there in numbers. People learned how to play it, got better and better. Fight got a little bit more short, which kind of benefited as well Warlocks, because if they don't have to press getting mana back, sorry I forgot the spell even if I use it by myself very often, then yeah, it is a global cooldown or maybe 2 global cooldowns in a very short fight, in a 30 seconds fight or 40 seconds fight is a lot of time. Global cooldown is 1.5 seconds. Think about this when you multiply it with 1, 2, 3 global cooldowns to get some mana back. But I think we will see Warlocks on the top. I would rank them kind of the same as Warrior here right now. And then last but not least, definitely not the least spec is Hunter, Melee Hunter. I don't know exactly what to expect overall from Melee Hunter going forward in the game, but I think in phase 3 they will be still strong and still among the best specs in the game. I rank them a little bit higher than Warrior, because for me this prediction list is a little bit more important for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks than maybe the last 1 or 2 weeks. And the last 1 or 2 weeks I would maybe change Warrior and Hunter, but I think, and I could say the same about Warlock and Mage, but I think going into this phase, the first 1 or 2 ID resets, I think Fire Mage and Melee Hunter will be among the best specs, or will be the 2 best specs, very close, followed by Warrior, Warlock, Enhancement Shaman, and then yeah, Elemental Shaman and Rogue fighting for the next spot. Sure, all of them maybe get another runes or 2 runes that can change things around. Like I said, maybe we see again something like Priest is going up in the sky and then falling down again at the end of the phase. But in general, with all the knowledge that we have right now at that moment, I think it will be looking pretty much like this, which is not bad, because as you can see, we have here only 1-2 specs that are not doing well, but they have a very good spec in their class that's doing good. And then there is a difference between Fire Mage and a Paladin, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely possible also having 2 Paladins in a raid group, especially when we talk about 20 mans and clearing the raid. Easy peasy. That's it for today, guys. Look for the spec that you want to play. Most people I know, or many people I know, have some classes ready, so decide for yourself what you want to play, but definitely I think choosing one of the S tier specs will be a very good choice. That's it for today. See you. Bye bye.